What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. Thank you for everybody for joining us today. This is a half hour with some of the industry leaders out there, trainers, educators, some of the best. And today, a special friend of mine, from mine and Jared's, and we're really excited to have him on the show today. He's a Spanish-speaking certified arborist, red beard, battle axe, CTSP, track certified, master, and crane certified, Mr. Patrick Morgan.
Whee!
Welcome, my friend. Welcome
there.
to the show today.
Thank you.
You know, on this show, this segment that we have is we're learning from some of the best in the industry, people that have been around, that made the thousands of mistakes, that had amazing, people that have worked with them and helped bring you to where you are today. Very, mentors, different mentors in your career. So, first off, I just want to, thank you for coming on today. And we just kind of want to jump right in and start talking about, your career, getting into the industry, and talking about some of the lessons you've learned the hard way, what different mentors that were around you, what they taught you, how you learned, and kind of where you are today. So get started and kind of let's hear your story.
Well, I guess it all started off in August of 2001 when I got out of the Marine Corps. I was over in Calistoga just having a beer before I went to work at a restaurant, and I had this old bosun's mate come up to me, and he says, "Hey, Pat, you were a Marine. You want a job, $15 an hour, starts tomorrow." I said, "Hell yeah. How'd you know that's how much I needed to make to make my bills for this month?" And so I had a beer with him, and a couple seconds later, I'm like, "Paul, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a tree company."
Yeah.
All right, okay. So I had another beer with him, and then I'm like, "Okay, Paul, what do you do with trees?" And he's like, "Oh, you see those guys, Davy tree, that spikes, and they go up the tree, they cut stuff, that. And then we plant trees, and we do, plant healthcare, stuff like that. We do anything with trees." Yeah. I'm like, "Okay, what did I get myself into?" Next day, he sends me up on this giant hill, and we're clearing the whole thing and thinning out the forest for the guy. But I was hooked. It was like back in the Marine Corps, running through the woods, just working my tail off.
And you knew that was it.
I knew. I knew
right
from
there
then,
and
I was like, "This is it." And I just kept at it, and actually.
So at that point, you're just shag and brush.
Shag and brush. They wouldn't even let me have a chainsaw in my hand.
So how long did it take to get a chainsaw in your hand?
I think the guys made me wait at least a month of watching them do tree work and
quick.
then running things through. Yeah, it was back then. But I mean, back then we were, you're throwing at it and you learn from your mistakes as you go, and they watch you and laugh.
Well, first off, thank you for your service.
Yes,
absolutely.
sir.
My dad was a Marine, and hoorah. When you were in the Marines, when did they finally put a gun in your hand? How long did it take?
First day. No, actually,
second day.
We had to go through. So when you go through the yellow footprints, all that, you have a couple of days of actually doing admin work where you learn your Social Security better than you learned any other number in the world because you write it about 1,000 times.
Yeah.
They finally get you out and start issuing your stuff within a couple of days. You get your rifle, Foot Locker, all that, and get to your barracks. But yeah,
so rifle after a couple days.
But you don't. You're just cleaning it.
And when did you finally get to use the chainsaw first in the industry?
Oh, it did take about a month or two before I actually really was able to use a chainsaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about coming in, pulling brush, understanding this is what I want to do. This is it. How did you get to the level where you are today? With all the certifications, all the different projects, and running equipment. I mean, you're the Swiss Army knife. There's just about nothing that you can't do. Seriously,
try.
you know, when if you guys are seeing this guy on the podcast, you know, when he comes up with the flame beard just coming in and just muscles ripping and smiling, you can hear his laugh about 6 miles away, and and then he starts speaking Spanish, and everybody just goes, huh? And you also know Arabic too, right?
Yeah, I did go to school for some Arabic, learn some
Yeah.
Middle Eastern affairs
Yeah.
stuff.
So tell me about in your career of working with what company was that you were working with?
I started off with Of the Woods. Paul Dubois owned that.
Okay.
He's now running the Davy Yard over here out of Sonoma.
Do you still see him?
I have not seen him in years. I need to connect with him. I saw his son, though, at a training that Chris Bruner and I did up in Sacramento, and he's
Yeah?
running a company up there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
Neat.
the small world.
So tell me about the education, the courses, and kind of what you went through there. What things worked for you, what they didn't teach you, what you learned, you know, and what were some moments in there where it was the aha moments?
Well, when I first started there, the foreman that took me under his wing was his name was Robert Hegwood.
Yeah.
He actually came from training and a background at Britton Tree, which is the next company that I ended up working for after leaving Of the Woods. He taught me quite a bit about the Britton way, about how to prune trees, how to use your rope angles the proper way,
Yeah.
how to get trees down, rig them down properly, think
Yeah.
about the long term, the chess pieces in the
Yeah.
game board, and try to plan out 10, 15 steps ahead of where you were supposed to be.
So
at.
he was the guy that kind of springboarded you in your career, like
Definitely.
really taught you how to be a master at what you do. Or
He's-
grow into that.
I still hear his voice
Now-
in my head every day.
Now, what was it about him? Who did he learn from?
He learned from John Britton.
John Britton himself.
Yes,
Learned
sir.
from John Britton, and then so John Britton, the way he taught this,
Yeah.
Robert's his name.
Robert Hegwood, yeah.
Robert spread that to
Yeah.
teach you, and then it kind of transformed the way you teach today.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was he had this way of being able to explain something, so that I would understand exactly what he was talking about by the way that he would, push it out and
Yeah.
and allow me to like lead into it myself.
Yeah.
And then he helped me a lot. Sometimes it wasn't so easy. Sometimes he'd send me off on a 30-foot limb walk and then just pull me off just to show me my gear worked.
So was he the one who introduced you to the Bright End?
He was the one that introduced me to the
Good
Bright
man,
End saddle.
good man.
Yep.
Yeah, I missed those days.
That's actually how Jared and I met each other at a tree comp here in Santa Rosa.
Fell in love over a nice, good old harness.
Bright End harness.
Is that really how you guys met, over a harness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
There's
all,
only
hey.
two. I'm like, there's not too many, people that wore those harnesses, right?
Uh-huh.
And man, they were just Cadillacs of, the harnesses.
Yeah, nothing was
Yeah,
tight.
and I'm like, I looked at him, looked at me, I was like,
That was
hey.
That was it.
You got
It
good
was
taste.
done.
Yeah.
20 years later.
Was it that long
16
ago?
years later.
16 years?
Yeah.
Have you guys known each other?
Yeah, that's the first time
Wow.
I met. Jared
Wow.
was 4 years when I was in the industry. Was the first comp I took it on myself to do, but that was because Gabe Beeler from Fallen Leaf up in Sacramento pushed me there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Now working your career, tell me about your career as a trainer, as traveling around to all these different shows and being the Spanish speaker, teaching on the cranes, everything you've done. Tell me about some of that and what you get out of it and watching, these men and women who come and listen to you to hear. And I'm sure you've seen these people at multiple shows and watched their careers over the years grow.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of that.
Well, honestly, stepping into the training game, I didn't even think about how I was going to get there. I ran into Chris Bruner and Jared Abergina over at Arborfest, one of the first year it happened, and we kind of rekindled old friendships. We saw each other for the first time after maybe a decade, and we started talking, and they came to me and asked me if I wanted to try doing, being a part of their team.
Yeah.
And running around and doing their training circuit with them. And I couldn't say no to that. I was kind of at a weird, funky spot in life, and
Yeah.
I kind of put new life back into it for me. I think it saved my life, honestly.
Really? Why is that?
I felt like I wasn't going really anywhere. I was working at the other Atlas down in Clyde, and I felt a dead end. I was foreman, top, like couldn't go anywhere. I didn't feel any growth personally. I kind of was helping guys, but they weren't really, receptive to the ideas that we had because
Yeah.
they were very old school, stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
And it just was so refreshing to be involved with something as big as
Yeah.
what Jared
Yeah.
and Chris were doing. I mean, I owe to where I'm at for sure, without a doubt, to Gabe Beeler, to Grant Hamilton, and to Jared and Chris.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's there's so many guys and gals that end up in that same position as you were.
Yeah.
They get in the industry. Hopefully they had a really good mentor that taught them, and from there they reach the top within a few years in their organization.
Yep.
And then they sit there and they go, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I do this? How do I make more money? And normally they jump around, or they're just hungry. They're so hungry for more knowledge, more education, because they're the teacher. And that's what happens so much in the industry or just with trainers and in education itself is, you reach the top and you're the educator and teaching. You also need mentors in your life. I don't care how good you are. Michael Jordan, LeBron, they all have private coaches that help them get better, not just in basketball or football or sports, but in their careers and their investments, so they can be the best they can be.
I was told a long time ago, and the saying really stuck with me. It's birds of a feather flock together. If you want to be better, you be around better people. You surround yourself with those people that challenge you to step up.
Yeah.
And that's what that was. I
Phil,
challenged myself.
I resign. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was a fake
Now,
laugh. for everybody
it's
listening.
in this industry, I think, it could go either directions, because it is such a, a fast-paced adrenaline profession. You can have that fuel you for years and years, or that can take all the fuel out of you, and you can get burnt out really quick. So if there's not somebody there either motivating you or like-minded individuals in the same direction, keeping you motivated and then keeping that fire lit, it's easy. It's easy to burn out.
Yes.
And then kind of looking around in directions, go, what do I do? What am I doing?
What
I'm
am I
20,
doing?
I'm 20 years deep. I'm like, man, what's the next stage? What's the next level? And not having, like-minded individuals around you, it's really hard to take that next step in your career. So
Definitely your day to day.
So tell us about some of the trainings and the different places, some of the good times, and what are some of the things you specialize in out there in the field when you're training, and also at a lot of these Arborfest and trade shows.
Well, I think that I still identify more with kind of the older school guys.
Yeah.
So I think what I do best is new people that don't know anything and having them bring them in. I've been really successful at kind of enlightening them to different climbing styles, newer climbing styles, and getting them to step out of their comfort zone. And then I've got definitely an older tree work kind of mindset where less is more, and we do a lot more with a lot less. And I think that some of the guys that are in that weird transition spot that aren't sure about the new ways, aren't sure about how to, applicate them in a real-time situation. I feel like I can bridge that gap a little bit better for them because I've been in the industry for so long and I've felt their pain.
Yeah.
I know what they're going through, and there's a reason why now I've adapted a lot of what I've adapted.
Yeah.
So I think those are my strong points.
And that's good. You've been the brush puller.
Yes, I still am. Still go out there and drag brush with the guys.
And that's why you relate so well. Now let's talk about, I think, one of the things I'm the most proud of to be around and stuff, and a game changer for our industry is the academy.
Definitely.
The academy, going from the education that you got with Britton and Robert and these guys that you surrounded yourself with, and knowing the type of education and how you had to learn was in the field, getting your hands dirty, Now there's something better. There's something more available to individuals.
Definitely.
You know, and you're one of the head trainers here at the academy and teaching the classes. And you remember the first time we had the first academy trained week.
Oh,
I
come
mean,
on.
you were
Reveille?
with yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, tell us about that and how impact of the industry and what it's been an impact on your own personal life.
Well, I think I can speak for pretty much everybody in the industry that we've all wanted something like this to happen for so long.
Yeah.
I've heard it over and over again. It was a complete game changer. No one's been able to step up enough to actually put their thoughts of how to do this into writing the way that Jared did. And no one's thought to, take it to the next level, and actually create this whole school that we have here.
Credit to Bob.
Credit to Bob as well. Thank you very much for all the curriculum that you've made, Bob. But the excitement that I had going into that week and how much I knew the academy was going to affect people, even ourselves coming out of it, was so immense. I think everybody in the room at that graduation day shed a little tear because of how excited we all were and how much it really affected us.
Yeah.
No one's taken the step to do what we did. And I was really happy and proud to be a part of that and be asked to be a part of that.
Yeah. It was an emotional day because so many people goes, I mean, the words that, gentleman used that's been in the industry 25 years, finally.
Yep.
Finally. And he looked at all the young guys out there and said, you guys have no idea what you have in front of you right now. I've been looking for this for the last 25 years, and here it is.
There it is.
And he humbled himself enough. I mean, this guy is very well known, in the industry. Came in here, to see what this was all about and left with something. And that showed, myself and everybody at this table that doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. We always can learn.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot.
Yep.
That definitely. It was pretty amazing.
It was definitely amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the ticket. I think that really exposed that portion of your life of where you were at and a good direction of where you could be going. Because we get to that point in our career of, especially now getting introduced to training, it's like you see people, you take so much and it's so rewarding from the industry. You light up somebody's world and you see that light bulb go off. Gosh, it's like 10 times more rewarding.
Yep.
And then you do that and you do it 100 times over, or in masses, in groups, and you see, it's time to give back.
That's exactly what it is.
We've taken so much from this industry. It's time. We have to share it, and that's the only way we're going to win and grow together. And when it clicks for you, and that, and you're able to totally, do that yourself as an individual, as a professional, man, skyrocket.
I couldn't have done it without all the people that were there, dude, that helped me get to here.
Now let me ask you this: who's your what are they called? The Padawan, your student that you took under your belt from nothing, knowing nothing, coming in green as can be, and where are they at today with training and education? And what did you do to get that person to that point?
Over the years, I mean, there's been a few that I've had come in knowing nothing. There was the gentleman up in Reno that I didn't find out. We did a training up there for the Western chapter. I hadn't found out until I had him 30 foot up in a tree that he'd never been able to get up a tree before. He'd never actually ascended into a tree, although his friends had talked to him, had his crew members had all tried to get him there, all tried to talk him through, various situations, scenarios of how to get up in the tree. And within 30 minutes of me working one-on-one time with him, I had him walking up over 30 foot up into the tree and getting up on a limb on a sizable tree, actually. Yeah. And he was able to maneuver, do, everything that, a basic person should be able to do right off the gate. And after he came down, his crew buddies came up to me and they all thanked me. And they're like, hey, he's never been up a tree before.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh, really? Good to know now. Thank you very much for filling me in. But he did great.
Where is he at today?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have not ran into him yet again. It'd be nice to see what he's doing now, because
Yeah.
that was near 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'd be really happy and probably impressed to see what he's
Yeah.
doing.
You know, in your 20 years of working with tons of professionals all up and down, you know, California, and a bunch of projects from Miss Johnson's Little Plum Tree to clearing forest, you know, wide range of experience and stuff. This is kind of the part of the show is what's tips from the pro. You know, people that are sitting here and listening, it's, you know, what are some tips you can give, you know, people in the industry that's just getting started off and people that have been in the industry for 20 years?
I think the number one thing for all of us is to stay humble enough to remember that we don't know everything in this industry. And there's guys out there that have been doing this for 60 years that forgot more than what we'll remember. Mm-hmm. And they still learned on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So never put a cap on what you can learn. Always be accepting of new ideas, new ways, continually evolving your way.
Yeah.
Use every little tool that you can see and put it in your toolbox.
Yeah.
Listen, learn, take it all, and use it wherever you can. Because all of this stuff, people have done it. They've learned the hard way. They've hurt themselves. People have died doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to learn from every single mistake, every little misstep, and we need to take that. And as Jared and Chris say, always put that tool in your toolbox, carry it. It's not applicable every single time, but there's going to be that time when you're like, aha, I still hear my old foreman, Hegwood, telling me, oh, just listen to me. I know you're going to ask me why, but I don't want you to. You just shut up and do what I tell you. And 14 years down the road, you're going to come across a situation and understand why. And you're going to hear me in your head say, I told you so. And I still get those days where I've been doing it away for so long.
That's
and then
great.
finally,
Yeah.
I come into the situation why
Yeah.
he taught me what he did. And I'm like, that damn bastard was too smart for his own goddamn good.
Oh man. Well, my friend, I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thanks for
I'm
having
sure
me.
everybody that's listening is grateful, and hopefully you're able to come back, and we're going to have yourself and other people that's in the industry that are educators and trainers and mentors to new people and people that have been in the industry on these segments, and kind of sharing the tips and tricks and
Awesome.
and things have worked, and hearing their story, you know,
Good.
hearing their story for that. So any last words you want to leave the people listening today? And then we'll stay on the call and answer some questions.
Just stick with it. I know it gets hard sometimes out there. You get downtrodden. You end up wanting to give up. You see yourself sometimes surrounded by not what you want to be. Don't give up. You gotta sometimes just grit and bear. Put the shoulders up and put everything, the whole world on your shoulders like Atlas did, and then keep moving. Because one day it'll all come through.
All right. All right. Thank you, Pat. We appreciate
Right
you,
on,
man.
brother.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers.